we'll be talking about health, now. And we have with us Professor Adesegun Fatusi, who is Vice-Chancellor, University of Medical Sciences in Ondo State, UniMed. And we'll be looking at the whole issue of tackling medical tourism and, indeed, the brain drain in the health sector in Nigeria. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you for coming on.
Sir. Good to be here.
Indeed. First of all, how many, is it just your university, the University of Medical Sciences in Ondo State? Is it the only one?
Not exactly, but we are the first. So the University of Medical Sciences Ondo was established by law on December 8 in 2014. And so we are 7 years old now. And we started operation in 2015. But since then, particularly encouraged by our successful example, I believe, now we have 7 universities. So
well, you led the way, so to speak.
In fact, one of the things that happened is that every new university, except the last 3-4 ones that I just started, had always come to us when they start to learn from us what we've done and how we've done it. So right now, like I said, there are 7. The first is that there are 2 of us are state established by state government, ourselves and Bayelsa. Then we have 2 private, what is called Eko UniMed, here in Lagos, and then there is PAMU, American University, out in Port Harcourt. And the federal government had now established 3 universities like that. The oldest of them is about 2 years old in Benue State. And the last 2 just took off a few months back, one in Ila and one in Nazareth. So now we are 7 in number.
7 universities of medical sciences. Now, I need to try and understand this, because you can go to any university that offers medicine as a course if you want to become a doctor.
Yeah.
What kind of students would the University of Medical Sciences of Ondo State attract?
Okay. So, one of the things that is not obvious easily is that there are a lot of gaps in the medical education landscape.
Okay.
And I'll give you just one quick example. The whole field of medical rehabilitation is a field where we have at least 5 major professional courses: physiotherapy, occupational therapy, audiology, speech language therapy, and prosthetic and orthotics.
What was that third one? Audiology?
Audiology.
Audiology. About audio, about the ear.
No, about the ear.
Okay.
Because a lot more people are having problems with their ears, and a lot will. As we live longer, as we are exposed to all the music and all the loudness, there will be. We need people to.
Okay.
As people have hypertension and have complications, sometimes it affects hearing, sometimes it affects speech. We need a speech therapist and all that. So, but we don't believe that in the entire field of Nigeria, education landscape, there is no degree program in audiology till today. There is no single one in speech language therapy. There's only one Federal University of Technology that had run a program in prosthetic and orthotics. We recently had the Cardinal bomb blast. I'm sure people lost their limbs. They need to have prosthetics, but we don't have a program. So for us, it's not just being one of doing the same. Our strategic approach is to close the gap, particularly in the medical education landscape. And so we have established the first faculty of medical rehabilitation anywhere in this country. And that is part of this whole agenda. In fact, there was even NUC doesn't have a program for audiology and speech language therapy until we came on and submitted the program to them. And so there's a lot of gaps. So you have students who are interested in any of the health professions. For example, in UniMed, we have medicine, we have nursing, we have medical lab science, we have physiotherapy, we have prosthetic and orthotics, we have every professional field.
Okay, so...
in addition, just quickly, we also train health scientists.
Health scientists?
Yes, because health science is so integrally bound with the medical profession. Think about COVID-19. The progress we made is actually not due to the medical professionals, but to the medical scientists. Vaccine, drug. So many times we all focus on the top professionals.
On the doctors.
Yes.
But actually, as you are pointing out, it's medical sciences.
In fact, the future of the medical field is to create professionals who are scientists.
Okay.
You're a doctor with a scientific orientation, because that's what That's what shaped the world.
Now, from what you've explained, I got that you could still come to the University of Medical Sciences if your interest was in becoming a medical doctor.
Yes.
But there are also these other specialist courses.
Yeah.
You know.
And even what you might think about basics. So let me say it this way. So we have, like now, we have 10 faculties. So we have a specialized faculty of clinical sciences. We have one faculty basic on nursing and all that. But we also have a faculty of science. So we have 26 courses. To give you one example, there's a field called medical physics or earth physics. They are the one, for example, that will be producing many of the equipment that we use in medicine now. If you want to do some surgery that you have to look inside the person, I don't want to use medical word.
Yeah.
They produce those equipment.
It's interesting you say that, Prof, because we see all the. I'm even surprised there's not something called medical engineering or something like that.
There is medical engineering, by the way.
There you go. There you go.
If you go, for example, to MIT has started medical engineering, and we hope to bring something on down. So if you take the picture I've just told you now, you find that for you to be a earth physicist or a medical physicist, you might need to start with reading physics as your first degree. So our intention, we have physics, but our intention is beyond that, then you become a earth physicist. Now, we do chemistry, but at the master's level, we are focused on medicinal chemistry. So it is about creating that specialized professionals, scientists, that will truly drive the field of health in an innovative way.
You know, especially when you went to chemistry, it occurred to me that, wait a minute, our people, traditionally, back hundreds of years, they know of herbs, they know of all of that, and common sense dictates that it must be some of the chemicals in these materials that are actually, you know, aiding the cause of the healer.
Certainly so. And the example you've given is a very interesting one. So for us, for example, one of our major focus as a university is to focus on the herbal medicine, to discover, using science and innovation, to discover drugs based on our own herbs. One of the clearest examples I often give is what is the drug we use for malaria today, the artemisinin-based therapy. When chloroquine failed, the woman who led the team that discovered that, to UU, went back to the herbal medicine in China, what had been written over 1,600 years, to research that. And she found the drug, the sweet wormwood that they were using. In fact, when she first produced it, they first extracted it, it didn't work because they used hot water. Then she went back to the literature and found that no, it's not hot water. They were using the olden days. And that's how we came down. She won a Nobel Prize for that.
There you go.
So why are we now neglecting ours? Why don't we use science? And that's one of the things. So we have a Center for Herbal Medicine and Drug Discovery, essentially for that purpose.
So a person could come to the University of Medical Sciences because their interest was in herbal medicine, and take a course there. And would graduate with a BSc, or how does it work?
Right now, we don't have a BSc program, but we have a program in we have a program in plant biotechnology, which one of the areas is phytomedicine. And so at the master's level, we are moving to that way. But we also want to start on a diploma program. You can be a medical doctor and yet be interested. When I was a student, I schooled in Ife when we were having 7-year program. We have BSc first before you go to medicine. My work was on malaria. It was on dongoyaro. Looking at dongoyaro, extracting it and seeing, will it cure malaria in mice? So
exactly, and people have said that dongoyaro is dangerous. It's that, it's not. But
no,
you see, you know, people say things from handed down knowledge.
It's not true because we have not applied our science to that. And so for us, we are moving on to start our school of pharmacy now, our faculty of pharmacy, which we are naming after Olayiwola Fatusi. And Olayiwola Fatusi is a phenomenal person. And so one of the things that is going to make that program different is that it's not just about teaching people around pharmacy, but also bringing innovation to drug production, looking also from what comes from our herbal medicine as part of changing the landscape around health and sciences in Nigeria.
And you are 7 years old.
We are 7 years old.
It's 7 years old. It's the first, so the oldest.
We are the oldest, the first of its kind.
So it's a developing science. And for whatever reason, we didn't latch on to it 30 years ago,
no.
You know, when all the first generation universities.
No.
But here we are, rather late than never.
Rather late than never. Rather late. And particularly as you think about where we are today, the amount of brain drain happening. And
I was going to go on to that. So it's excellent.
And also taking our place in the world of science and medicine. You know, I was talking about the Faculty of Pharmacy, for example. You know, if you don't make... So when we had COVID, we had to beg for vaccine. We had to beg for drugs. But if we move our health sciences, including the medicinal chemistry, including pharmacy, to this new direction that UNIMED is piloting and driving, particularly with support of Professor Chief Oluwakingbugbe and the Oluwakingbugbe Pharmacy Education Trust Fund, which is supporting the development of this program. And that board is headed by top gurus. I mean, it's about board people who are excellent people in the board, led by Professor Chief Julius Adelusi
of Julie Pharmacy.
Of Julie Pharmacy, former Minister of Health. We have on that board Dr. Dera Owoshika, who is heading now Access Bank. A very successful pharmacist. We have there Kofa Kinkugbe, who is an entrepreneur excellent. We have Benga Yebodi. Those are the kind of people in that board. And there are people who want to leave a legacy. And that's why we are driving this agenda around changing the narratives when it comes to pharmacy and health sciences.
Okay. The other thing I thought we could spend a few minutes on is this whole concept of medical tourism, which is what they mean when somebody has to go to Israel. They say they're very good there, West Germany. In short, almost anywhere but Nigeria. Tell me about medical tourism and the brain drain in our country.
We have touched on something that is extremely interesting and extremely important. It's like those are like the twin problems in their sector. On the one hand, Nigerians are going out in droves to seek medical care. On the other hand, medical professionals in Nigeria are also living in droves. Those are two very challenging situations. So why do people go out? Number one, there is this sense of belief that the Nigerian health field cannot do much, which is not true. Like I always tell people, why is it that developed countries are going after our doctors and nurses in the large number? Because there's something about the training we give them. That's one. So the Nigerian health system is not perfect. There are a lot of gaps. I would admit that. There are technology that we don't have. So the greatest problem is not the human resources. It is the equipment.
Okay.
And also the belief of our people. So some of these, particularly going to India, believe me, is because of marketing that the Indians are doing. I'm a professor in medicine. I get called all the time. If you have a patient, please send them to us. So even when what people can treat in Nigeria, because of this euphoria about India, they are rushing there. So that's a problem. Now, when it comes to brain drain is a major problem. Again, because people know the quality of Nigerian professionals, they want them. But also there are push factors that are pushing Nigerian professionals out. Salaries, infrastructure.
Because I was going to bring you to it, because we often engage with the Medical Association, and they are forever having their complaints about not being treated right, and government saying things along the lines of we're treating you as well as we can, and the doctors are saying it is not so. So there's always that pull in there.
There will always be that pull for a while, because the medical world and the economy, we can't compete with Europe. That's the truth. And so as far as it is about money, people will have that factor. However, it's not all about money. No, it's not. A lot about it is about job satisfaction. I want to come to work and do the best I can with my training. But if I don't have the equipment, the infrastructures are not in place. You are a gynecologist, you can't go to the theater because there is no electricity. You will get to a point of frustration that when there are opportunities, you are willing to jet out. So it's not all about money, it's about the general condition. And now doctors
and what you were trained to do.
You can't do it.
You can't do it, is what a lot of doctors have said. All the time. You can't do it all the time. And
when rich Nigerians go abroad, who do they often meet in top cities? Nigerian doctors. So it's about facilities, and you can do more. And honestly, we talk a lot about government, and government needs to do a lot more. However, the Nigerian public itself need to do more. if you allow me to say a word more about that, Nigerian public need to do a lot more. See, because the education sector, particularly tertiary education, cannot be left to government alone.
Okay.
The private sector, I always give this example. I was at the time the head of the medical school in Ife, or provost of medical school. I tell people, your child is coming to university. The college needs some things you can do for the college. You say, oh, wait for government. However, on the day of graduation, you are willing to spend 2 million for cows, a celebration. I said, why don't you think about this school and give a little bit? And that's honestly where I praise Baba Olu Akinkunmi and the Akinkunmi Trust Fund. Because what they are doing is bringing private funds to support university education. Think about this. Some of the biggest foundations in the world are things like Ford Foundation, MacArthur Foundation. MacArthur Foundation has supported Nigerian university for a long time. The man who started it died in 1978. Up to today, that's over 50 years. That fund had continued to grow because he put a fund to support. Ford Foundation is one of the biggest in the world. For example, we are working with Ford Foundation on one of our biggest projects, research project. The man that started, that was 70 years ago.
Okay.
How many Nigerian rich people had a foundation? Even Abiola, as rich as he was. Because we don't think about the role we could play in the education.
We tend to leave things to government, you know.
We want to just think about government and to not work that way. These countries we are running to didn't develop that way. John Hopkins University is #1 university in the world in public health. It was not started by government. It was private. So when you think the rest of things like Akinkunmi Pharmacy Education Trust Fund and what they are doing to say, look, let's galvanize fund from individuals, from organizations to support. And they're not even just galvanizing, they're also opening the opportunity that anybody who wants to contribute. If somebody can say, I want to sponsor a laboratory. We will support that laboratory, we'll name it after that person. And so those kind of, and they made the information available online. If you go to oapet.com, you find the information. So we should get Nigerian population to understand that government will not change our lives.
What is that website? Because some people will be listening. Oapet.com.
OAPET. So OAPET.com.
OAPET.com.
It's Olu Akinkunmi Pharmacy Education Trust Fund.
Oapet.com, in case anybody wanted to check it out.
Yes.
Because, and finally, Prof, because thank you very much for, you know, I said it. I said, once we knew you were coming, I knew I was going to be learning. There's so much stuff that it's not just out there for ordinary people to know. And but the medical engineering thing that you said is no more an alien idea, because I'm very happy about that, because you read woeful stories of hospital, of institutions or facilities that have elaborate equipment, but servicing is the problem. And so they say that a particular kind of equipment or gadget, you know, is not working. And we are going to be waiting till they can get somebody. So hopefully medical, you know, engineering, and when it develops sufficiently here, we'll be able to take care of some of those things ourselves.
Exactly. In fact, there was a World Bank report on the assessment of Nigerian facilities that says the amount of facilities that we dump because they need little repair is so much that they can turn this system around. And we already have things like biomedical technology, biomedical engineering that schools are doing, very few schools. But you know, we must develop that because we always need to deal with equipment. And if you buy expensive equipment and a pin of less than $10 get missing and you cannot fix it, even if you have bought that equipment for 100 million, it's wasted.
It is.
And so we must step up our game. And that's why I think Nigerians, if you are serious about health, we cannot leave it to government. We must say, what can we do?
Okay. You know, I want to thank you very much, Professor Adesegun Fatusi, Vice-Chancellor, University of Medical Sciences in Ondo State, that is UNIMED, because this has been very, very instructive, you know, enlightening. And I'm sure many people would have caught that website you mentioned, oapet.com, oapet.com, just to get an idea of what can be done from the private sector as well. Thank you very much, Professor. And indeed, you traveled from Ondo State, so journey message back.
Thank you very much.
As you go.
Thank you very much,
Prof.